very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television, your one-stop morning show for top stories from India and around the world. My name is Aishwarya and here are the headlines. India's Dalveer Bhandari re-elected to International Court of Justice after Britain pulls out candidate. First time ICJ without a British judge since inception. Last day for filing nominations for the first phase of Gujarat polls. BJP releases a third list. Congress revises names of 4 candidates in the first list. NCP to contest alone. Legislative, executive and judiciary must play their defined constitutional roles, says Vice President. Stresses need to address eroding trust and confidence of people in the institutions. 9 years after it was removed from the list, US President declares North Korea a state sponsor of terrorism. Move allows Trump administration to impose additional sanctions on Pyongyang. And Asta Pahwa enters the quarterfinals at the Women's Youth World Boxing Championships. PV Sindhu to lead India's challenge at the Hong Kong Super Series Badminton. Our top story, India's Dalveer Bhandari has been re-elected to the International Court of Justice as Britain pulled out its candidate. Christopher Greenwood withdrew after a stalemate in the hard-fought race. A candidate needs to get a majority in both the General Assembly and the Security Council to win the seat. In the 11 rounds of voting, Bhandari got nearly 2/3 of the votes in the General Assembly, but in Security Council he got only 5 votes against 9 for the opponent Greenwood, resulting in a stalemate. However, Britain pulled out on Monday, saying that it was wrong to continue to take up the valuable time of the Security Council and the UN General Assembly with further rounds of elections. After the withdrawal, with Bhandari being the only candidate left in the race, the General Assembly and Security Council still went through the normal motion of voting to complete the formalities. Now, this will be the first time since the ICJ was established in 1945 that there will be no British judge.
The jurist, Mr. Ronnie Abraham, Mr. Dalveer Bhandari, Mr. Antonio Augusto Gansado Trindade, Mr. Nawaf Salam, and Mr. Abdul Qawi Ahmed Yusuf has been elected to the International Court of Justice for a term of office of 9 years.
And after the win, India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Syed Akbaruddin, tweeted, "A vote that brings cheer to a billion." India's nominee, Judge Bhandari, re-elected to ICJ. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj also tweeted following India's victory at the ICJ. And now news on assembly elections in Gujarat. Well, today is the last day of nominations for the first phase of Gujarat Assembly polls. So far, 377 candidates from various parties have filed their nominations for election to 89 seats slated for a 9th of December election. The nomination for the second phase began on Monday and it can be filed till 27th of November. The polling for the two-phase election for the 182 seats will be held on 9th and 14th of December, and the counting of votes will be on 18th of December. And earlier, the BJP released its third list of 28 candidates for elections through the 182-member Gujarat Assembly on Monday. Now, the names included in the list are former state BJP President R.C. Faldu, who will contest from Jamnagar South seat. Former State Minister Saurabh Bhai Patel will contest from Botad, while Raman Bhai Bora was given a ticket from the Sada. Now, the names of the candidates were finalized by the BJP Central Election Committee. Earlier, the party had released a list of 106 candidates. So far, the BJP has finalized the names of 134 candidates. And news from the Congress's camp, the party also released its second list of 9 candidates for the Gujarat Assembly polls on Monday. The party has replaced 4 candidates on the list announced on Sunday with 4 new nominees now. Congress on Sunday had released its list of 77 candidates for the first phase of the polls. And with just a day left to file nominations for the first phase of Gujarat Assembly elections, the Sharad Pawar-led NCP or the Nationalist Congress Party has decided to contest on its own. Senior NCP leader Praful Patel announced the decision after alliance discussions with the Congress Party failed. The NCP was reportedly upset after the Congress announced a candidate from Kutiana constituency in Porbandar. The announcement on a seat that is currently held by the NCP indicated that the Congress was not interested in an alliance with it. The NCP has 2 MLAs in the 182-seat Gujarat Assembly at present. In 2012, it contested 7 seats in an arrangement with the Congress Party. And the Aam Aadmi Party released its third list of 13 candidates for the Gujarat elections on Monday. Aam Aadmi Party, which is contesting elections independently in the state, has now fielded a total of 33 candidates so far. As per the list, the candidates come from varied backgrounds, including farmer leader, sarpanch, retired flight attendant, teacher, RTI activists, social activists and traders. On to some other news now. There is a war of words going on between the Congress Party and the centre over the winter session of Parliament. Now, addressing the Congress Working Committee meeting, Party President Sonia Gandhi criticised the centre on the winter session. She alleged that the government had sabotaged the session on flimsy grounds. Sonia Gandhi further said that the government implemented an ill-prepared GST and burdened the public by announcing demonetisation. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, however, has responded to the charge, stating that it is not the first time that a parliament session was rescheduled to ensure that it did not overlap with elections. He said that the Congress itself had done so in the past.
गुजरात के चुनाव के मद्देनजर प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी इन सवालों का जवाब नहीं देना चाहते, इसीलिए वो संसद के शीतकाल सत्र को बुलाने से बच रहे हैं। परंतु कांग्रेस पार्टी जनता के अदालत के माध्यम से ये सवाल पूछती रहेगी, ये कांग्रेस अध्यक्षा ने कहा।
ये एक परंपरा रही है और कई बार हुआ है कि जब चुनाव चल रहे होते हैं, संसद का सेशन भी शेड्यूल कांग्रेस ने स्वयं कई बार सेशंस रीशेड्यूल किए। उसका समय इस प्रकार से दोबारा तय किया जाता है कि चुनाव के कैंपेन के साथ वो ओवरलैप ना करें। 2011 में उन्होंने किया, पहले भी करते रहे और इसलिए संसद का सत्र निश्चित रूप से होगा, हर विषय पे होगा और कांग्रेस को पूरे रूप से एक्सपोज किया जाएगा।
And in a major decision just before the Gujarat Assembly elections, the Congress Working Committee paved the way for Rahul Gandhi's elevation as the party president. The party leaders on Monday decided the election process, which will start from the 1st of December. Here are the details.
The Congress Working Committee on Monday approved the election schedule to appoint Rahul Gandhi as the next party president. Rahul Gandhi's name was approved at a meeting of the party's top leaders at current party president Sonia Gandhi's 10 Janpath residence.
कांग्रेस पार्टी इन संगठनात्मक चुनाव के बाद शायद देश और दुनिया के सबसे बड़े राजनीतिक दल के तौर पर उभरी है। कांग्रेस की विविधता की पहचान केवल इस बात से की जा सकती है कि इस देश के हर ब्लॉक, हर गांव और हर जिले के अंदर कांग्रेस पार्टी का यूनिट और कांग्रेस पार्टी के कार्यकर्ता मौजूद हैं।
The election notification will be issued on the 1st December. Last date to file nominations is 4th of December, which can be withdrawn till 11th of December. Polling will take place on 16th December if there are other candidates in fray. If no nominations are filed, Rahul Gandhi will be announced as party president on December 11th itself.
ये डिसीजन जब नॉमिनेशन खुलेगा और कौन-कौन पर्चा भरेगा उसी दिन पता चल पाएगा। प्रजातांत्रिक पार्टी है, हमारे संगठन में चुनाव होते हैं। भारतीय जनता पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष के लिए चुनाव आज तक नहीं हुए हैं।
महीनों से हम लोग सुन रहे थे अगले महीने बनेंगे, नहीं बनेंगे। क्या कांग्रेस पार्टी में कोई ऑर्डिनरी बूथ का कार्यकर्ता राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष कभी बनने की सोच सकता है? ये सवाल भी आज उठाने की इच्छा होती है। और आप देख लीजिए कि हमारे यहाँ अमित शाह जी बूथ के कार्यकर्ता थे, राजनाथ जी जिला अध्यक्ष के रूप में काम करते थे, गडकरी जी नागपुर में बूथ के कार्यकर्ता थे। हम तो बूथ के कार्यकर्ता को राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बनाते हैं।
Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, party general secretaries and senior leaders attended the CWC meeting. The Election Commission had set 31st December as the deadline for the party to complete its organizational elections. Mohammad Fateh Tipu's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that whether it is a parliamentarian or a judge, an attempt must be to do the best to meet the expectations of the people. He said this while addressing a gathering of judges and lawyers of the Hyderabad High Court on Monday. The Vice President added that just as there should be discussions instead of arguments in Parliament, there should not be delays in giving out judgments. The Vice President emphasized that all institutions have defined roles and that executive, legislature and judiciary must not encroach each other's space. He also pointed out that the trust in the judiciary, executive and legislature is eroding and it needs to be addressed. Bar associations of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana jointly organized this event.
We all as people in the legislature, people in executive and people in judiciary, we must all adhere to the defined roles that are given to us by the Constitution and see to it that those values are respected and those laws, nobody should trespass to others' domain. That has been the wish of the founding fathers of the Constitution.
And Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Monday also released a book, Modati Patham, in Hyderabad. Now, underscoring the importance of the role of a teacher in a student's life, the Vice President said that the internet can be a source of information, but it can never take the place of a teacher. The book is written by well-known mathematician and senior former professor of Hyderabad University, Dr. Chukka Ramaya.
Manandaram, we are all wise men. So we try to learn from others' experience. So teachers, they should all learn from the experience of Ramaya garu. ఈ రామయ్య గారి యొక్క మొదటి పాఠాన్ని ప్రతి ఒక్కరు అధ్యయనం చేయాలా. ఆ పనిని సులభతరం చేస్తూ శ్రీహరి గారు విద్యామంత్రి, నేను మా ఉపాధ్యాయులందరికీ ఒక పుస్తకాన్ని చేరేట్టుగా చేస్తానని చెప్పి అన్నాడు. దాంతోపాటు వాళ్ళందరినీ చదివేట్టుగా కూడా ప్రోత్సహించాల్సిన అవసరం ఉంది. చదివిన వాళ్ళు విద్యార్థులకు వాటిని తెలియజెప్పాల్సిన అవసరం ఎంతో ఉంది.
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentary.
Welcome back after the break, and now an update on the cold wave conditions that have further intensified in the state of Jammu and Kashmir as well as in Himachal Pradesh. Now in Jammu and Kashmir, the historic Mughal Road in Shopian district connecting Jammu region through Rajouri remains shut for the 5th consecutive day. Temperature in Leh was recorded at -6.7 degrees Celsius. The traffic on the 300-kilometer-long Srinagar-Jammu National Highway linking Kashmir with the rest of the country is plying normal. The Met Department has forecast dry weather in the next 24 hours in Ladakh and in Kashmir region. And in Himachal Pradesh, the minimum temperature further dropped by a few notches at many places. This comes after overnight rain and snow in tribal Lahaul, Spiti and Kinnaur districts. The famous tourist resort of Manali recorded -0.6 degrees Celsius. The Met Department has also forecast dry weather in the state for the next 5 days up to 26th of November. And now an update on the movie Padmavati Rao, and the Supreme Court has rejected a plea seeking a deletion of alleged objectionable scenes from the upcoming movie Padmavati, calling it a premature action. The petitioner alleged that though the censor board has not given a certificate to the movie, the songs of the film have already been released. Protests against the film continue, with groups like the Karni Sena seeking a complete ban on the movie. The issue has also taken political turn, with the chief ministers of several states saying that facts must not be distorted. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said that the film won't be screened in the state if it distorts history. Punjab Chief Minister Amarinder Singh also said that a cinematic license does not give anyone the right to twist historical facts. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also criticized, however, the protest, saying that the film is a calculated plan to destroy the freedom of expression. Viacom 18, the makers of the film, has announced that they have deferred the movie's release, which was originally scheduled on 1st of December.
हम लोग पूरा प्रयास कर रहे हैं, पूरा प्रोसेस फॉलो करने का, और कोशिश ये रहेगी कि बहुत जल्दी हम लोग जो हैं किसी एक सब चीज जो है ना विवाद की जगह हम विचार विमर्श की आवश्यकता है.
As you see, there's been a statement that the production of the film is made, saying that they have chosen to defer the film because we want to go through the due course, we want to go through the right channels, we want to go through the entire process, and we're hoping that the CBFC will clear the film very, very soon.
ये जो टाइम पीरियड वो देना चाह रहा है, हम भी दे रहे हैं. तो फिल्म वो दिखा रहा है क्योंकि दाल में कुछ काला है. अब तो सीधा सा इलाज है, फिल्म नहीं लगेगी.
And the 48th International Film Festival of India is underway in Goa. The film festival was inaugurated by Bollywood actor Shah Rukh Khan at a glittering ceremony at the Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Indoor Stadium in Panaji. Information and Broadcasting Minister Smriti Irani and Goa Chief Minister Manohar Parrikar also attended the function. The 9-day extravaganza will see around 200 films from over 80 countries being screened. Among them are over 38 Oscar-nominated films. The opening film this year was Beyond the Clouds by Iranian filmmaker Majid Majidi, and Canada is the focus country. 7 award-winning films from BRICS nations will also be screened. In the Indian Panorama section of the festival, Vinod Kapri's Hindi film Pihu will open the feature film category section. 26 feature films and 16 non-feature films will be screened in the Indian Panorama section.
It is our endeavour on behalf of the Government of India and the Government of Goa that we invite filmmakers from the world over to this land of stories. As King Khan said, connecting the world through stories, that is the endeavour of the 48th International Film Festival of India.
लेकिन हम लोगों ने फिल्म फेस्टिवल के साथ अच्छा फिल्म कल्चर चालू कर दिया. ये फिल्म कल्चर has now slowly developed. We are financing local movies also.
The International Film Festival of India, the slogan of this year, hopefully, will make that come true. Connecting the world through stories. And if I may extend it and say, connecting each and every one of us through stories and films here in Goa tonight and for all times to come.
On to some other news now. India will host the Global Conference on Cyberspace on 23rd and 24th of November for the first time. It is one of the world's largest conferences in the field of cyberspace and related issues. The curtain raiser events for the conference kicked off in the national capital on Monday. Here are the details.
Several run-up events were organized in New Delhi on Monday ahead of the 2-day global conference on cyberspace. Global leaders, policymakers, industry experts and cyber experts will deliberate on rules for a robust cyberspace at the conference that starts from Thursday.
Content must be allowed to be kept online so that free speech is protected unless they conflict with our terms of service. We have strong views on removing hate speech. We have strong views on removing speech that is violent or extremist. that your fundamental right to free speech online under India's constitution and under the international human rights framework as well, of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights, there's an argument that the internet broadens the scope of communications.
The first global conference on cyberspace was held in London in 2011. The theme for the 5th edition of the conference this year is Cyber for All, an inclusive, sustainable, developmental, safe and secure cyberspace. More than 10,000 delegates from 123 countries will take part in the event that will be inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will begin a 4-day India visit from today. During his visit, aimed at boosting bilateral ties, the visiting Prime Minister will hold wide-ranging talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday. The fishermen issue is likely to figure during the talks. They are also expected to deliberate on issues relating to maritime security amid efforts by China to strengthen its naval presence around the waters of the island nation. The Sri Lankan Prime Minister's first destination will be Bengaluru, and he will arrive in Delhi on Wednesday. He will also be participating in the 5th Global Conference on Cyberspace in the national capital. He will also call on President Ramnath Kovind. Let's get to all the international news now. Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party is set to begin impeachment proceedings against the President Robert Mugabe. Now, the motion is due to be presented to Parliament today with the votes in both the National Assembly and the Senate. Both the chambers must then appoint a joint committee to investigate removing the president. Now, if this committee recommends impeachment, the president can then be removed if both houses back it with 2/3 majorities. The developments come after a deadline set by ZANU-PF party for his resignation passed on Monday. The charges against Mugabe include allowing his wife to usurp constitutional power. Meanwhile, military leaders have said that they have planned a roadmap for Mugabe's future and that the ousted former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa would return to the country soon. Mnangagwa has been out of the country since Mugabe ousted him earlier this month. His ouster triggered a political crisis amid repeated calls for Mugabe to step down.
Comrade Mugabe has been formally notified of the decisions this morning. As for that, the party has instructed the chief whip to proceed with impeachment processes against Comrade Mugabe, as it has not received the anticipated confirmation of his resignation from the Speaker of Parliament.
The Zimbabwe Defense and Security Services are encouraged by new developments which include contact between the President and the former Vice President, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is expected in the country shortly. Thereafter, the nation will be advised on the outcome of talks between the two. In the meantime, His Excellency and Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Mugabe, has started processes towards a definitive solution and roadmap for the country.
On to the other top international story, and the United States has redesignated North Korea as a state sponsor of terrorism 9 years after it was removed from the list. The decision, which would impose further sanctions on North Korea, was announced by Donald Trump in a cabinet meeting. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said that the move will help dissuade third parties from supporting Pyongyang. North Korea was removed from the list of state sponsor of terrorism under the George W. Bush administration.
It is very symbolic on the one hand because it just points out again what a rogue regime this is and how brutal this regime is and how little they care for the value of human life. So I think if in that in of itself, I think makes a strong statement of just the nature of this regime. And as I've said, the practical effects may be limited, but hopefully we're closing off a few loopholes with this.
News from Germany now, where Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that she would prefer new elections to leading a minority government. This after talks on forming a three-way coalition failed, plunging the country into political crisis. Now, Merkel said that she was skeptical about ruling in a minority government. She also said that she did not see any reason to resign from her post despite failed negotiations. The failure of the talks raises the prospect of a new election and casts doubt about Merkel's future after 12 years in power. However, Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier told parties that they owed it to the voters to try and form a government. He said that Germany was facing the worst governing crisis in the 68-year history of its post-World War II democracy.
Auch zu bewältigen hat, sicherlich einer, den man sehr, sehr genau überlegen will. Ich will heute nicht und niemals sagen, aber ich bin sehr skeptisch und glaube, dass dann Neuwahlen der bessere Weg werden. Ich will allerdings auch sagen, die Wählerinnen haben uns einen Auftrag gegeben.
Wir stehen jetzt vor einer Situation, die es in der Geschichte der Bundesrepublik Deutschland, also seit immerhin fast 70 Jahren, noch nicht gegeben hat. Die politischen Parteien sind nun mehr als zuvor gefordert.
Let's get you all the sporting action now. In the first cricket test between India and Sri Lanka ended in a draw at Kolkata's Eden Gardens yesterday. Now, chasing a victory target of 231 runs, the visitors were reduced to 75 for 7. Batting in the second innings on Monday, India declared at 352 for 8. Skipper Virat Kohli top scored with 104 not out, while Shikhar Dhawan scored 94 and KL Rahul scored 79 runs. In reply, Sri Lanka lost quick wickets with top scorer Hiroshin Dikwela managing to score just 27 runs. Dinesh Chandimal scored 20. Meanwhile, the BCCI has also announced the India's test squad for the second test match. Bhuvneshwar Kumar and opener Shikhar Dhawan have been released from test team due to personal reasons. The second match will be played on 24th of November.
By stealth. Two series back-to-back against India is going to be the making of the Sri Lankan team in the future, because when you play against quality teams under pressure, you become better. So, yeah, it's a concern, but I'm more excited about how we fought and how we came out of it at the other end.
Make a game out of this, like I said, so that was the plan, but yeah, unfortunately we lost 3 wickets early in one spell of Luckmal, so we had to play a little bit extra. We had to play a little longer, but yeah, again, Virat played a fabulous now. That was what was expected out of one batsman today, and he delivered. But yeah, again, 5 or 6 overs would have been our way.
And in more sports news, Ace Indian boxer Astha Pahwa has entered the quarter-final of the ongoing AIBA Women's Youth World Boxing Championships in Guwahati. Astha beat her Bulgarian opponent Melissa N. Yunusova in the 69-kilogram category. She will now face Cancer Oltu of Turkey on Wednesday. And in another match, Indian boxer Shashi Chopra advanced to the pre-quarter-finals. Shashi beat her Uzbekistan opponent Rakhmatova Durdunakhon in the 57-kilogram category. Chopra will now face the Chinese Taipei's Lin Li Wenyi. Nearly 200 players from over 30 nations are taking part in the event. News from the badminton court, and Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu will lead India's challenge at the Hong Kong Super Series starting in Kowloon City in Hong Kong from today. Sindhu, remember, had suffered a loss against China's Gao Fangxi in China Open Super Series premiere last week. Now, among other Indians, national champions Saina Nehwal and HS Prannoy are also expected they are going to take part in the tournament. World number 10, Prannoy will face Hong Kong's Hu Yun in the opening round, while world number 11, Saina Nehwal, will face Denmark's Mette Poulsen in the women's singles. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of News. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day ahead.